Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. So if you like edgier kind of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. We're doing a huge push to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we cannot do that without your help. So if you've been here before, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. If you make it through all the way to the end of the video, definitely hit that button. It means the world to us. Big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And a big thank you to our good friends at Dice Legion. If you're interested in dice bags, any ttrpg accessories, just gifts for your friends, check them out. The link is in the description. Use the promo code SINISTER. The link for our Patreon is also in the description. Check us out also in our socials. And with all that out of the way, we're going to jump into this week's video. We're going to talk about the Order of the Scribes Wizard. The wizard has this normal connotation or attachment to it of being very book-oriented and constantly pouring through things. Order of the Scribes takes this to a brand new level where this is kind of like an addiction. Like you're really deep in depth and probably surrounded by scrolls and very rarely see the likes of a normal person. If I was going to play a crazy wizard, this would be a great jumping off point. This is something where you can just dive into the magics and the weave and the knowledge and the history of it and have your mind just so overwhelmed with the cosmic awareness that you're gaining of what magic is and how far it can go that it splinters your mind. It really causes you to be really out there and very bizarre and have this unusual connotation to the way you approach things, the way you see things, and how you interact with people. I like the idea of being so isolated that you're just like that crazy person who lives in the woods that no one's seen for decades, but every now and again you roll into town and you're in shambles and everyone kind of just stays really far away from you. I like that idea. If I was going to play a Hex Blood wizard, that would be my thing. I would be just deformed and hideous and just isolated and just so in love with knowledge and magics that everything else just doesn't even matter. And so I become this kind of dangerous fringe idealist because society as a whole is meaningless. And those kinds of ideas just compound and compound the further I am for society and the more powerful I get from my interactions with books and scrolls. So the Order of the Scribes has a lot of very wordy abilities, so we're going to jump right into that right now. First off, at second level, you get Wizardly Quill. As a bonus action, you can magically create a tiny quill in your free hand, and the magic quill has the following properties. The quill doesn't require ink. When you write with it, it produces ink in a color of your choice on the writing surface. The time you must spend to copy a spell into your spellbook equals 2 minutes per spell level if you use the quill for the transcription. The final ability is you can erase anything you write with the quill if you wave the feather over the text as a bonus action, provided the text is within 5 feet of you. And the quill disappears if you create another one or if you die. First and foremost, this drastically reduces the amount of time necessary to write spells into your spellbook, which is a great bonus. You can do them while taking a short rest and get a whole bunch of them done. Also, the quill doesn't require ink, which means you don't have to spend gold on specialty inks to write spells into your spellbook. This is a big thing, especially early on. And I say this because early on it's very difficult to gain the gold necessary to transcribe as many spells into your spellbook as possible. This takes the wizard up into a new level. This makes you able to transcribe everything that you can get your hands on in a night. It's super fast, and obviously there's no components that really give you that new cost to it. So that really helps you step above and alleviates a big process and problem, because if you're in a game where you don't make a lot of gold, you have to really weigh the choices of what spells you're going to inscribe into your spellbook. At second level, you gain another ability, Awaken Spellbook. Using specially prepared inks and ancient incantations passed down by your wizardly order, you have awakened an arcane sentience within your spellbook. At second level, while you are holding the book, it grants you the following benefits. You can use the book as a spellcasting focus for your wizard spells, which is great. You obviously want to have a spellcasting focus with you at all times. Having a backup is a necessity, depending on how clever or dastardly your DM is. When you cast a spell, a wizard spell, with a spell slot, you can temporarily replace its damage type with a type that appears in another spell in your spellbook, which magically alters the spell's formula for this casting only. The latter spell must be of the same level as the spell slot you expend. When you cast a wizard spell as a ritual, you can use the spell's normal casting time rather than adding 10 minutes to it. Once you use this benefit, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. If necessary, you can replace the book over the course of a short rest using your wizardly quill to write arcane sigils in a blank book or a magical spell book to which you're attuned. At the end of the rest, your spellbook's consciousness is summoned into the new book, which the consciousness transforms into your spellbook, along with all its spells. If the previous book still existed somewhere, all the spells vanish from its pages. Okay, we're going to talk about that last paragraph first. That is huge. As a wizard, when you get a spell book, that is where all of your spells go into. That's the one you start with. That's where usually everything goes into. Rules as written. If you get a new spell book, that spell book only has the spells that you transcribe into it unless there were spells already there. So if you lose the original one, you only have the spells that you remember and the spells that are written into that book. What you're supposed to do is translate from that book into the new book. That is wildly ineffective because it's a huge amount of gold for all the spells, all the spell levels having an increased gold cost and time cost. And it's just a huge amount of time that you would need to put into it. This alleviates all of that. As soon as you put all those arcane sigils, all of your spells jump right into that new book, and you can toss the old one, which is great in case you get your old spell book stolen. You can just grab a blank book, fill it out, and you're back to full power. That is a wonderful, wonderful failsafe on the most important item for a wizard, and you get that at second level. Some of the other abilities are amazing. In the event you need to cast a ritual super fast, incredibly necessary, you can do that in an instant. Great for detect magic, great for any ritual you might find necessary. You need something to block off an area real quick, boom, drop alarm with this and then run away so you'll know when that triggers, when people are coming after you. A lot of implications. You really gotta know your rituals as a wizard because it's one of your strongest ability sets that you have. Because it really makes a world of difference when you have a lot of them at play and available to you to do a variety of different things. Lastly, and my absolute favorite one, when you cast a spell replacing its damage type. Now, you have to do a little bit of knowledge and you have to do a little bit of forethought and preparation. If you, say, wanted to just do acid everything, you would just need acid damage on any spell levels, and then you can replace the damage of a better spell, like say or you know what, acid is a little tough because I can make an easier example with lightning and fire. Lightning is fantastic. Lightning bolt doesn't have as easy of a time hitting as many targets as fireball does, but if they're both in your spell book, you now can do a lightning fireball. It's incredible because you can constantly wield one damage type in new, unique ways. There's no outside cost to this. The only requirement is that you have that actual damage type as a spell at that same level, which is amazing. Now you can really wield these damage types that don't have the spells that you want and really customize yourself as a wizard. That seems a little crazy to me as a concept because you got to understand how much tutelage and studying and academics is necessary to be a wizard. And that means following information as written and being able to regurgitate that information on command 100% of the time. That's kind of really what academics is. But now you're changing it on command whenever you feel like, which is very, very cool. And it seems like you almost have a fractured mind because your spells almost don't work the way they're supposed to, because it's not how that spell works, and it's a great way to seem unsettling to other people, you know. And you can throw like necrotic damage and radiant damage in ways that you never thought was possible, and in cool, unique ways. And I think that's a great creative way to really add flavor to combat and personality to your spells, and really make your spells your own. And this is one of the few subclasses that gives you this kind of availability to do so. Manifest Mind. You conjure forth the mind of your awakened spellbook. As a bonus action, while your book is on your person, you can cause the mind to manifest as a tiny spectral object, hovering in an unoccupied space of your choice within 60 feet of you. The spectral mind is intangible and doesn't occupy its space, and it sheds dim light in a 10-foot radius. It looks like a ghostly tome, a cascade of text, or a scholar from the past, your choice. While manifested, the spectral mind can hear and see, and it has dark vision within a range of 60 feet. The mind can telepathically share with you what it sees and hears, no action required. Whenever you cast a wizard spell on your turn, you can cast it as if you were in the spectral mind's space instead of your own. Using its senses, you can do so a number of times per day, equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. As a bonus action, you can cause the spectral mind to hover up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you or it can see. It can pass through creatures but not objects. The spectral mind stops manifesting if it is ever more than 300 feet away from you, if someone casts a spell magic on it, if the awakened spellbook is destroyed, if you die, or if you dismiss the spectral mind as a bonus action. Once you conjure the mind, you can't do so until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of any level to conjure it again. First and foremost, that cost at the end of it of a spell slot, at higher levels, you can definitely use a level 1 spell slot to do this. This creates a great way to be a stealth wizard. You can hide in an area and project the spectral mind. There's no action required to see through it. You don't lose your senses when you see through it. You're not only hearing and seeing from the spectral mind, you're kind of doing them both. That being said, give yourself an area where you're in full cover, hide, throw it out there, and go from that as your actual in-combat entity. That is solely worth a spell slot on its own. You can cast spells through it. You can use its range to do whatever you need. It can see, it can hear, it has dark vision. This can put you right in the middle of combat. You can use touch spells without needing a familiar that might get destroyed in an instant anyway. It gives you such free reign to be a menace in combat while being in the safest place possible. And at any moment, without any cost, you can still move your wizard into a safer place, escape, whatever it is. It is very powerful. It's one of those things that you need to be creative and a little bit experimental and very, very cunning to use. But if you take the time to use this, you can feel almost invincible. You can be channeling spells that are wildly important and no fear of losing concentration, because you could be miles away. You can be 120 feet away from the combat. That's a huge distance for you to cover, and you still have another 180 feet to go before you even risk losing the manifest mind. That is wildly powerful for a 6th level ability. Master Scrivener. At 10th level, when you finish a long rest, you can create one magic scroll by touching your wizardly quill to a blank piece of paper or parchment and causing one spell from your awakened spellbook to be copied onto that scroll. The spell book must be within 5 feet of you when you make the scroll. The chosen spell must be a first or second level and must have the casting time of 1 action. Once in the scroll, the spell's power is enhanced, counting as 1 level higher than normal. You can cast the spell from the scroll by reading it as an action. The scroll is unintelligible to anyone else. The spell vanishes from the scroll when you cast it or when you finish your next long rest. You are also adept at crafting spell scrolls, which are described in the Treasurer chapter of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the gold and time you must spend to make such a scroll are halved if you're using your wizardly quill. So, the thing with this ability is a little interesting. Now, you'd have to go through all of your wizard spells of first and second level, seeing which ones evolve to being a higher level spell, but you do get to create 1 per long rest. You might as well do so. Pick something, pick anything you want, and use that. If it's a damaging spell, make sure at least it beats out the damage of one of your cantrips, and feel free to use that. That works. If it's a spell that does a unique thing, a utility spell, anything like that, that would be dependent on what you're facing that day, but that's always a good thing to have. This is a great way to supplement some of your lower level spell costs. Now, understand, why would you need to keep your lower level spell costs? And that comes back to your 6th level ability of Manifest Mind. So you really want to be able to keep those spell slots as valuable as they are now, because even though it's a 1st level spell slot, that's a Manifest Mind further down the line. So you really want to make sure you have a great way, and this is a good way to do that. It gives you a little bit of utility, and it gives you a little bit of play with what you want to do. Also, you can sell them to a magic store, and then they just vanish. It's a great way to be, unique about some things and maybe a little crafty, but the creativity here gives you the opportunity to really bring this to the forefront and do things in a creative, ingenious kind of a way. 1 with the word. At 14th level, your connection to your awakened spellbook has become so profound that your soul has become entwined with it. While the book is on your person, you have advantage on all intelligence arcana checks, as the spellbook helps you remember magical lore. Moreover, if you take damage while your spellbook's mind is manifested, you can prevent all of that damage to you by using your reaction to dismiss the spectral mind, using its magic to save yourself. Then roll 3d6, and the spellbook temporarily loses spells of your choice that have the combined level equal to that roll or higher. For example, if the roll is a total of 9, the spells vanish from the book that have a combined level of at least 9, which could mean 1 9th level spell, 3 3rd level spells, or some other combination. If there aren't enough spells in the spell book to cover the costs, you drop to 0 hit points. Until you finish 1d6 long rest, you are incapable of casting the lost spells, even if you find them on a scroll or in another spellbook. After you finish the required number of rests, the spells reappear in the spellbook. Once you use this reaction, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. A lot of words there, but what this means is if you just scribe in a whole bunch of spells and you never ever use them, this is a great way to sacrifice those spells in order for you to not take damage. The plan is particularly to pick up those spells on purpose, so that way you can just lose them without any cost. That's really the purpose. That's a lot of the reasons why you can just keep adding and adding and adding and adding, because it gives you this great buffer of spells you have no interest in using. And then you can just forego those which you weren't using anyway, and save yourself from a monstrous hit. Life-changing, it's one of those circumstances that can make the difference of saving your life or not. And the only way to do that full-heartedly is to make sure you pick up spells you have no intention of using, which is great. The Order of the Scribe Wizard has a great kit because it really supports each other the further it goes. The ability to have the quill not give you gold costs to scribe spells into your spellbook. It says you this array to just scribe absolutely everything, and scribing absolutely everything is a huge benefit for one with the word. The fact that you can now use that and just lose spells you have no intention of casting from the first, from Jump Street, is a great strength to you, because you now have things you can willy-nilly get rid of. Master Scrivener gives you the ability to save some of your spell slots for other things, so you can use extra manifest mind depending on how you go throughout the campaign and how things work out. Now, obviously, you can do so to make sure you don't waste your manifest mind, and in other ways work yourself out. That's great. Awakened Spellbook gives you so many great opportunities to create a caster with a singular focused damage type, which seems like so much fun. Like a insane damage based all around necrotic, throwing a necrotic fireball or something similar to that, or just being so focused on dealing just poison, and every spell you do does poison damage. Like, I love that. Poison obviously is not the damage type you want to be using, but that's something beautiful that you can use. Remember, cantrips are spells. Having a poison bolt or a necrotic bolt just feels great. There's a lot of cool things in there. It's wonderful. It gives you the opportunity to customize a wizard. It also gives me this great vision of using my manifest mind as like some sort of ghostly text that scribbles on the wall. It's just insane, intangible writing that no one else can read but me. But I talk to it because I'm a crazy person. Like, it feels so great and so satisfying to build around those kinds of ideas. With all that said and done, we're going to bring this video to an end. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for making it all the way to the video. Hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Again, we're doing our big push to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We are on track to make it, and we cannot do it without the help of all of you. Thank you all for those of you who have subscribed already. You are incredible people, and I just love interacting with you guys. Big thank you to our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. We love what you do. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, the link is in the description. Big thank you to our good friends at Dice Legion. If you need dice accessories, anything for your IRL ttrpg games, definitely check them out. Their link is in the description. Use the promo code SINISTER to get 10% off all of your purchases. And thank you for giving a spooky kid a chance.